Hi, my little children. Hope you are doing great. Okay, so I'm back with my English class. This is Archie ma'am, and I will start today's session with a recapitulation of the earlier class, as always. All right. So, what we learn in the earlier class? We read about the verbs, the definition of a verb, the different forms of verbs, the tenses of the verb. Okay, we also read about this story, Amazing Grace, a little girl like you who is fond of stories and who wants to act out the interesting part. She goes to school and finds her teacher discussing about a play called The Story of Peter Pan, and she immediately raises her hand to play the role of Peter Pan. But her friends think that she might not be a suitable choice for the role, you know so but still she is adamant to play the character. She goes home and she discusses these things with her mom and her nana, who encourage her to think that she is a perfect fit for the role. Okay, so this is what we heard about this. We read about the story, and we also I also asked you to come up with various endings for the story. I hope you all did that, and your task also. All right, so if you go back at the story, you look at these pictures. Okay, these yellow boxes. Okay, the events of the story, they are jumbled up. Okay, you are supposed to correct the sequence of the story. See here, there are various sequence of the story. Okay, you try to form the correct sequence. See from the yellow boxes, it's the Grace, I mean, the little girl Grace, she's fond of stories. She likes to act them out. She wants to play the role of Peter Pan next. Then, some of her, friends think she won't be a suitable fit for the role, but yet her mom and Nana encourages her. So the auditions happen in school for the play. Her friends vote for her because they think that she will play the role, she will fit the role, uh, she will be the best fit for the role. Okay, then she, Grace is a great success in the play. So these are, I am place the sequence one after the other like this. Okay, now from these sequence of events you can form a story map. As you can see, a story map is a shape of the story. It says, is it gives you a direction of the story in which the story is moving. You get to know of the plot the developments of characters, the plots from the beginning and the end. So that's a story map. You can have your own story, and you can act out this story, decide the who will play which character, and draw a story map. Okay, that's very interesting, isn't it? So do this. You can also have, plan your own stories, your own characters, and come out with your own settings and draw a story map, a story mountain. More or less this is a story mountain because the events go up like this and comes up like this. So this is a story mountain. Okay, so now how to plan a story. You can see these pictures. Each picture reminds you of dialogues happening. Okay, each picture talks of a different story. So look at these pictures. Okay, look at what is written in them, form a story of your own. Okay, then discuss ideas for a new story based on the pattern of Amazing Grace, like these pictures. Okay, these are a few examples. Choose one of your ideas to write about. Choose one of your ideas and write about the story. Draw a story mountain and plot the main events of your story. Okay, you draw a story mountain, the beginning of the story, it goes up, one after the other, the plot builds up. Okay, introduction of characters, a problem comes up, and then somebody solves the problem, and eventually what happens in the end, like this. Okay, write some notes about the setting and characters by your story mountain. These will be your plans for your story. Okay, now like this, like the story of Amazing Grace. You can also plan your own story, okay, with different plots, settings, and characters. Okay, you can write your own story. Now, when you're forming that story, keep these points in your mind. Okay, tell your story first. Include some dialogue. A dialogue should happen. Tell it to your partner and ask him to give you suggestions to make your story better. Change your story plan to include any new ideas you or your partner had about your story. Okay. Now, you have to improve your story, ensuring you have paid attention to the grammar part of it, the spelling, the spellings in the story should be correct, and the punctuation should be placed correctly. Wherever it's necessary, you should place the correct form of punctuation marks. Okay. So overall, what did you do in this entire lesson? In your first chapter, if I go through your book, the first chapter in this in your class, this is a story about ordinary days, simple stories, day-to-day stories. It's simple stories about ordinary days. You read about Once Upon an Ordinary Day, Amazing Grace, and you came up with various ideas to form the plots, the characters, the settings. You also learned about the grammatical part of it, like you learned about nouns, then verbs, adjectives, and dialogue writing, right? You read about all these things in this chapter. Now we are coming to an end of this chapter. All right, now go through each story. Think about the characters, the plots, the settings of each story. The story of Once Upon an Ordinary Day and Amazing Grace. Which story caught your attention the most? Which story did you like the most? And why? Talk about the different characters in the story. Okay. If given an opportunity, which role would you want to play in that particular story, in any of these stories which is discussed in this chapter? So talk about these, and based on these two stories, as we have already come across, you can form your own story with proper beginning, developments of plots, settings, characters, proper dialogue writing. Okay, then and a proper ending. Okay, you might include a problem which gets resolved in the end of the chapter. Okay, now this was all about telling you how to form a story, so that you won't have to wait for anybody to tell you stories. You can form your own stories. Okay, you're big children, you have to form your own stories. Okay, and then maybe you never know, you might be asked to read out your stories to your parents. The opposite thing may happen. While going to sleep, your parents would ask you, please read out a bedtime story. Okay, they would get into a habit of listening to your stories every day, and they would not sleep without you having said a story. Okay, so once you start doing this task, you'll find it extremely interesting. Okay, you will come up with your own ideas. After reading every story, you will think more deeply about the points that I mentioned. You can have better plots for the same story. You can have better endings for the story. You can have better beginnings of the story. Okay, you can write better dialogues for the story. Okay, this all happens when you have to develop a habit of reading. And when you are going through a story, write down each and every point, interesting point, something different which you found in the story. This is how you can make the reader glued to your story. Why would a reader choose your storybook over any other storybook? There should be a reason, right? So now you have all you know all the key things to be included in your story. Okay, so I will come to today's task. Today's task would be like Amazing Grace, form your own story. Take the examples of the pictures that I've showed some time back. Form your own story. Give your own, form your own characters, your own plots. Okay, then form a story mountain from beginning of the story to the end of it. As many characters as you want, you can include. Okay, and then it should be grammatically correct. It should be, all the words should be spelled properly and punctuation marks used wherever it's necessary. So form a story of your own. Okay, go, if required, go through these two stories again, the Once Upon an Ordinary Day and Amazing Grace. Go through these stories again and get ideas from it, and then form your own story. Write it down, and it's good if you get the time to list out a few nouns, verbs, and adjectives from the same. So we'll meet you again in our next class. Till then, you stay safe. Wait for my next video. Keep enjoying the classes. These are, I'm making the videos so that we can have more of interaction in our next classes. You'll have an idea before you come to the class. So keep enjoying my videos. Okay, stay safe till we meet next time. Okay, bye bye.